Hi class, this is Dr. Karsten. So I ran out of memory, so I had to get rid of a bunch of stuff that I've already uploaded for you, and I'm going to finish out the lesson now. So again, this is lesson 4 from module 5 for grade 4. So I had started this problem when the video cut out. This is problem number 3, and again it says draw and label tape diagrams to prove the following statements. The first one has been done for you. And I know that in the other video I had said that I really don't like starting out with all the dotted lines in here and everything, that I would much rather prefer to start with a clean one for you so you can really see the whole process. So let's show that 2/6 is equal to 4/12. So if I want to show that, the first thing I have to do is I have to draw my tape diagram. And remember, they've been telling us that these tape diagrams are one whole. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But I'm looking, I need to be able to squeeze in 12 pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and make a pretty long tape diagram for us so that I will not be squished when I'm doing our work. Okay, so here's our tape diagram. Now, the next thing that I have to do is I have to divide it into sixths, and that's because I see a 6 in this denominator. So I know that I need to divide this up into sixths. So I'm going to go ahead and divide it in half, and then I'm going to cut each one of those into 2 pieces. And my goal is to get 6 pieces to make up my whole. And so if we take a look, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that matches our denominator for 6. And now I know that it's telling me that I need to have 2 6. So I'm going to shade in 2 of those. So I'm going to go ahead and shade in the first 2. Okay. And then I'm going to bracket that off to show the value of this, to give scale to the person looking at this. So I know that this is 2 6. I have 2 pieces, and the entire thing is cut up into 6 equal pieces. But now they want me to turn those sixths into 12ths. So what I'm going to do is I want to ask you guys, if I need to turn a 6 into a 12, what would I have to multiply that 6 by? Well, most of you would be able to tell me that 6 times 2 is 12. If you didn't know that, of course, you could go ahead and you could say 12 divided by 6 will give me what? And you're welcome to do that if you need to. So remember, we can do our inverse operation, but for now, 6 times 2 is equal to 12. This 2 is telling me that I need to split each one of these boxes up into 2 pieces using my dotted lines this time. So I'm going to go ahead and divide them all up into 2 pieces. And then what I can do is I can say, what is the value of each one of these pieces? So down here, if I count now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I know that this is a 12th. I know that this is a 12th. I know this is a 12th. And I know that this is a 12th. So each one of these is 1/12, and I'm just going to write that in here for us. And if I were doing this the way we did the previous problems, I would be writing 1/12 plus 1/12 plus 1/12 plus 1/12. But for this problem, I don't need to do that. All I need to do is say that 1, 2, 3, 4, 4/12. So now you can see that 4/12 is equal to 2 6. All right, so let's go, and I think now you probably can do the next problem on your own. There's 2 more of these, and you can also take a look at this one if you need some more help. So let's go ahead and take a look at the last problem that I'm going to show you today, and I'm going to show you number 4. And for number 4, it is telling us that we want to show that 1/2 is equivalent to 4/8 using a tape diagram and a number sentence. So this is really similar to what we've been doing all along. And the first thing I need to do is make my tape diagram. And since I see that this is going to be eighths, I need to make a pretty long tape diagram to leave me room to work in. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a little bit of a long tape diagram, something that'll leave me some room to work with. And the first thing I have to do is I'm going to have to split it into halves. So I'm going to have to split it into 2 equal pieces. So I'm going to say that that looks to be about 2 equal pieces. So that takes care of that denominator, but now I have to shade in one of those pieces. And the reason I'm shading in one is because there's a 1 in that numerator. So I have 1 out of 2 of those pieces. Now, if it had said that I had more, then I would shade in more pieces. Now I have to also give you the scale. I have to show you how much this is worth. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my bracket for the top, and I'm going to show that that's 1/2. And I guess I could have just made that bracket go right up to that number. So the next step is that I am going to have to turn this whole into eighths. And I can see that because I have an 8 in that denominator. But again, I have to ask myself, how am I going to turn halves, 1/2, into eighths? How do I do that? Well, again, remember our little thing that we were doing before? I said, how can I turn a 2 into an 8? What do I do? 2 times what is 8? Or 8 divided by 2 is going to give me what? I'm looking for that missing number. 2 times something is 8. And you should be able to tell me that it's 4. Again, if you didn't, you could have also said 8 divided by 2 is equal to what number? That would have been fine. That's going to tell you what your conversion is, how you're changing it, what your rule is. So that means that I need to take each one of these pieces and divide them up into 4 equal pieces. I need to take each half and turn it into 4 equal pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to put my dotted lines in. And remember, whatever I do for this one, I need to do in this one too. So this is how I do it. Now, the other way that I could have looked at that is I could have said that I need to divide my entire thing into 8 equal pieces. But since I have halves already, I find that it's easier then to figure out what I'm going to divide that half into. Okay, so now what I can do is I can take a look and I can say, oh, look at that. Each one of these now has a denominator of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is going to have a denominator of 8, and this is one piece of that. The other thing that I could do is I could show you, I could bracket this whole thing off and say that I have 4/8 because I have 4 of them shaded. So now, just from this drawing, you can see that 1/2 is the same as 4/8. Now, we have to also show a number sentence. So I'm going to start with 1/2. And I need to show how I turned that into 4/8. Well, the first thing that I did was I turned all these pieces into eighths. So I'm going to make that part of it. And this is kind of back to our lesson number 3. And I have to show how many of those eighths it took to make a half. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I can say is that 1/2 is going to be the same thing as 4 times 1/8, because these are eighths and eighth. And then what I can also do here is I can set that equal to 4/8. So again, what you can ask yourself is how many times do I have an eighth shaded in? I have 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 4 times. So that's why I'm also able to say 4 times 1/8. I have 1/8 4 times. That's another way to look at it. And then when we multiply across, you do 4 times 1 is 4. We could have put that over 1, and we would keep our denominator of 8. So I hope that this is helpful. I hope that you guys are going to do a great job on this work when you're doing it on your own. And then we will touch base the next day and go over the problems that I have not shown you that you are going to work on your own. So be well, and I will see you all in our Google Classroom. Have a great night. Bye.